you've been playing Fortnite for a while, you're probably familiar with the battle call emote. But did you know every 1 in 100 times this can happen? And that's only one of 35 little details in Fortnite, just like in Season 8 when Epic added a huge telephone for both their burger and Pizza Pit, but the twist was, they actually worked. You could dial the numbers with your pickaxe and it would function like a real phone, so if a player was at the other restaurant, they'd hear it ringing. Another awesome detail was added to the map after the World Cup in 2019. Not only did the winners get a trophy and millions of dollars, but they also got their own secret tribute. If you visited Lucky Landing, a trophy engraved with Booga's name could be found. This is because it was his drop spot at the time. Now you might have forgotten why Lucky Landing was even added as a POI. To celebrate Chinese New Year in 2018, Epic changed multiple huts across the island to shrines, along with adding a brand new POI. These never appeared again for future years, so it makes sense why no one remembers it. The same goes for a secret about sharks. We've all ran into them, but there's a hidden detail that 99% of players forgot about. When Epic released this LTM, there's a small room with whiteboards telling us the IO wanted to give one lasers, a jetpack, and that his official name is Bruce. Of course, it's a reference to Finding Nemo, and there's even a line implying he could talk. Now, it's still not as surprising as the first Icon series emote, which was hidden in a battle pass. When streamers launched Season 3, none of them expected to come across the positivity emoticon straight from CD and the Third's chat.
No, they didn't.
Oh, no way.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't.
Oh my God, they added it for you.
Open bracket, plus sign, close bracket. Let's go.
Wait, look what it's.
And he wasn't the only one to get a secret tribute in the game, because when the Summit Striker pack released, people could only see one person. Not only was the name similar to Summit 1G, but it also had a giant letter across the jacket, which was undeniably similar to his own logo. And let's just say Ninja, he was a little jealous.
Summit Striker. It's got his colors.
And it says 1G across the chest.
No, it doesn't. Oh my God, it does. What? Are you serious?
And some skins have a secret that the devs forgot about too. These dog tags are all on the defaults, but what most people don't remember is that every skin was originally gonna have these. Well, that's until Fortnite started making more creative designs. Everyone had them around their neck, even if they felt out of place. And now you can still find them on Gold Trooper, Sparkle Specialist, and some newer skins like Ready Penny and Recon Champion. And speaking of old details, there's a classic part of Fortnite that even OGs have forgotten about. By now, we're all used to looking at the bottom left of our screens for health, but before Chapter 2, this bar was actually in the middle of the screen and looked completely different. And with the upgrades to graphics, we lost a detail that was small but pretty iconic. Whenever you ran, you used to kick up clouds of dust behind you that looked like it was straight out of a cartoon. A change a lot of players were happy to see was to the original minigun. When this thing was first added, you could fire all 999 ammo without stopping, which is obviously, it's a little overpowered, okay? But you'll have to go back even further to remember the giant clock that you could find in the desert. In the Mesa Hills, one of the mountains had a bunch of cars and logs on top, forming a huge sundial with a telephone pole in the middle. And that's still not as interesting as the secret Scooby-Doo emote. Zombie Shambles was first released in 2020, and players quickly noticed the monster's iconic walk from the show. Well, apparently Fortnite forgot about this one too, because it hasn't returned for nearly 1,000 days. So if you're tracking numbers, then pay attention to Jules' drum gun. Since she's the mechanic of the device and other inventions, it is no surprise that her mythic has a hidden mathematical equation engraved on the side. The formula is actually a real one used to calculate force, with mass multiplied by acceleration. When you pick it up, one thing you wouldn't notice is the old sound effects. I think a lot of us forgot about this tiny detail, but the sound, it's so nostalgic. The same can be said about the classic assault rifle, which hasn't been seen in over 4 years. In early Chapter 1, the AR looked a bit different and actually had a white flaming skull painted on the side. And when Coral Castle was revealed, players are disappointed that it wasn't Atlantis, but there was one detail that almost made up for it. If you went to the bridge, you could find these conch shells and make an entire song with them. From a water temple to a jungle, Pizza Pit used to be a normal restaurant until the head vanished into a rift one day. Everyone thought it was gone until it came back as a stone statue, obviously teasing Tomato Temple, with the new tribe worshipping their tomato god. And that's not the only iconic POI that got a strange revamp. In Season X, the rifts didn't just destabilize the name locations, even the wooden chair was affected and transformed into a giant spaceship made of metal. Looking back, Chapter 1 had a lot of random POIs, and the biggest was probably the football stadium. It was added for the 2018 FIFA World Cup, but only lasted 4 weeks before being deleted. They also removed the ability to carry 10 minis in a single slot. During Season 7, Epic nerfed it to only 6, which seemed like a big change at the time, but now we're all very used to it. and they also used to look insanely different when using them. All consumables had the same animation of either wrapping your arms or just holding an empty hand to your mouth no matter what you were drinking. You'll probably never have the chance of seeing that again, but there is a small possibility of getting this secret version of Howl. There's only a 1% chance of it happening, but instead of the howl, you'll hear this. Now, if you're subscribed to Fortnite Crew, you might have unlocked a secret back bling that nobody noticed. With the start of the Primal season, we were all so distracted that a lot of players missed a unique backpack of Jonesy as an action figure with its own customizable parts. But there was one object in the map that a ton of people missed back in Season 6. We were all focused on the giant iceberg making its way to the island that we didn't see Aim's parachute land on top of Flush Factory. It was a great attention to detail that even matched the story loading screen. And while we've seen Fishstick die in the comics and in Thunder's trailer, a lot of people don't remember his first death in Chapter 1. When Bigfoot released, not many players paid attention to his back bling, but look closely and you'll see poor Fishstick stuffed into the cooler with his arm hanging out. Chapter 1 had so many forgotten details, and one of the best was the interactive events. Throughout Season 8, we had to pickaxe giant dig sites to slowly uncover whatever was underneath. One by one, we completed each of them, revealing skeletons, geysers, and even creating a lava eruption. Eventually, we found the vault, which led to the entire thing being discovered underground. And most people don't remember that back blings didn't actually exist at first. Nowadays, we're used to being able to customize everything, but before Season 3, things like shields, ski bags, and even Love Ranger's wings were glued to the skin. Another forgotten detail could be found at Der Burger, which was the most iconic restaurant since day one, until it was infested by cockroaches. You probably remember the great food war between the rival companies, but there was a time when Tomato Head just took it way too far. You could find a box of insects on his truck outside Der Burger, and just a week later, the entire place was closed down for health and safety. A great attention to detail that storyline lovers will appreciate is the Visitor Space Pod. After the meteor first landed, it eventually cracked open to reveal the tech inside. But when time was reversed in Season X, Epic didn't forget. They made sure you could actually head inside and see the pod before it hit the ground. In that same chapter, there was a small town in the community called Westworld, with one house that stood out from the rest. The red building was full of the iconic Fortnite chairs, and nobody knew why, but one day, they all randomly transformed into old TVs. Something none of us have seen for a long time is LTMs, but certain modes only released once and most players never got a chance to try them. Things like Steady Storm had a constantly moving zone, and Ground Game was basically an early version of Zero Build. There was also a bare bones mode that took away most HUD elements, so you couldn't see the storm, players, or damage numbers. One image that Epic did give us was hiding a secret during Operation Skyfire. After the event, we all watched the downtime screen for Season 8, but Fortnite wasted no time dropping teasers. There were some pretty strange images, but when players noticed pieces of a QR code in the corner, piecing them all together would take you to a short trailer for the new season. In Chapter 2, we had to choose between Ghost or Shadow for each of our Battle Pass agents, and whichever you selected was permanent. Sadly, there was no way to get the other style, but it was cool to see the votes change each side's POI in the next update, with Brutus's Grotto turning to Shadow and Sky Shark becoming a Ghost Prison. Now, there's a vehicle in Fortnite that most players don't even know exists. We all know what happened with the police cars, but it's surprising that we've never seen the ambulance or fire truck in the game. Well, it turns out they do exist, but are only in Save the World, so it feels like we're kind of missing an opportunity here. Those are 35 Fortnite details you don't remember. It has been Tommy and keep it here on Top 5 Gaming.